So it's been almost a year that I've been going to therapy, and I have a couple more insights. I think that trauma trauma plays a lot in the way I am. Having all these personality collapses throughout my life, being a fake masculine character or characters so much, not knowing who I am. Uh, and then you add trauma after trauma, which I've had many throughout my life from childhood up, of different things have happened to me, various things I've spoke about in other videos, but you add them all up, and I think you have bipolar, and I've had severe depression throughout my life, and then never been diagnosed, say, as a borderline, but I've often thought I could be. I exhibit traits of that. And you take all that, and at almost 50 years old, I've been through a lot. And I think that just plays a lot into how my gender dysphoria escalated, because it's been there. I've discussed before how it's been there in pieces. For me, it was there in little pieces from like puberty, 11 years old, as early as I can really remember, as far as feeling really feminine. But I could block it out. I could turn it off at 13, cross-dressing, my mom's pantyhose and heels, and different parts of my life, thinking about interacting with men in ways. Even though I would say, even today, I'm still more attracted to women, but I can be attracted to certain men. I'd say more an alpha type. I'm probably certain alpha type men I can be attracted to. But I'm probably overall still more attracted to women, even though I feel feminine and female myself. I think that the traumas added up throughout the years just escalated to where I couldn't push back, where throughout my life I had these little pieces I would feel, but when I could push it back all those years, block it out, I'd say stuff like, it's not my thoughts, whatever, make up whatever. I would often be tied up in a religion like Christianity or something, and try to use that to say I'm possessed or some other crap, but whatever I had to do to block it out, I could do that. But I think as trauma after trauma adds up, I think throughout my life, it's one of these things that took the dysphoria that already existed. And in December of 2019, when I had the horrific breakup I went through then, which served as a catalyst to really make me self-aware of myself in general, as far as, wow, you've had all these personality collapses, you've been these fake masculine characters, you've done all this shit through your life where you've portrayed one person to this person and portrayed yourself this way to that person. And I mean, as far as that breakup, we both did things that were not good. We both did different things, I'll say. But what I am saying is that situation was so devastating for me that it pushed me into the self-awareness. It pushed about a year and a half after that event, the dysphoria really starting to heighten on me. And I think it's because the trauma just kept escalating from that breakup. I've discussed this before, but because of that, I tried to go into New Age to escape the pain of that, plus everything else I've been through in my life. I started to go into black magic and extreme darkness. I tried to go into I guess you could say it was a dark form of Satanism, because really just a religion of Satanism isn't like that from what I've researched. But you can go into dark black magic and all that stuff, and it can take you into a really dark place. And I would say during that period, that was in summer 2020, I went through that really dark period there that I came close to unaliving. Very close then. And somehow I got through it, but it was bad. It was really bad, crying every day and felt these icy feelings throughout my body every day. When I'd wake up, I was drinking quite a bit, trying to escape as well. So it was bad. And so these things kept happening. And I went back to Christianity, and I had an affair with somebody, and that was disastrous. Then I tried to go back to New Age again. And then as that was going on, I'd say early 2021, or closer to summer maybe, that's when the dysphoria really started to amplify. It just started to really amplify. And I say this because there's so many of these videos out there that talk about AGP and every older guy or whatever that says he's trans or he has gender dysphoria, which I've been diagnosed with, but still yet you'll have so many people, even in the gay community, a lot of gay men, I've noticed, they talk it down. They just think, oh, you're a gay man, they can't accept you're a gay man. No, I would push back on that. Are there AGP guys? Yeah, there are. These are the ones to me that do creepy things. These are the ones that they make no effort to look like a woman. They'll walk into places with full beards or no change sometimes whatsoever, or they obviously aren't making effort. Oftentimes they're probably not doing anything to change their bodies with anything, makeup or, well, maybe makeup, but maybe not. They don't ever get on hormones or try to make the attempt to maybe think about that even. And I'm not on hormones, but I can't even do it right now if I wanted to, because I can't afford it. And I could get it through, before Trump got into office, I could have been able to do it through my clinic where I see my therapist and doctor, but his administration's making that very difficult. And I can see it for children, honestly, but I can't see it for adults. Adults should be able to make their own decisions, but that's a whole nother thing. But my thoughts have been, I was pretty close actually to getting started on them. And then I found out the option's off the table unless I want to pay a lot of money right now. So anyway, though, getting back to AGP, and I think these guys that do, these are also guys that like to dress like women at home. I find, you find out about this, but they're perfectly fine being masculine men. You got those types too. They like to do this for gratification, they like to do this for feeling like they get sexual gratification out of it at home, but then they're perfectly fine being masculine men out in public. It's something they do on the side. You got that, but then you got the ones that say, yeah, they're trans, but they're making no efforts to alter themselves, and they're going into women's spaces. And I do think a lot of those guys, some of them I even think just want to be in the women's spaces, not because they actually are trans women, but they use it. I do think there's those too, but we're not all AGP. Now, could we all have a little bit of that in us? I would say, yeah, that's possible. But my thing about this is, okay, you also have people that talk about AGP and they say, well, yeah, because you get off on seeing yourself look like a woman. Well, when I was being fake masculine characters, I would look in the mirror. I used to bodybuild and I would look at myself, and I used to be pretty narcissistic, I would say. I used to have a pretty big Instagram following at one point. Wasn't no celebrity or anything. I mean, I wasn't huge, but I had a pretty, compared to, I would say, a lot of people, I had a decent following. I would post almost nude photos a lot of times where I was very muscular at one point, and I was into all of that, or into being, one point in my life I was 190 pounds of muscle. I'm 5'6". That gives you an idea. If I was 190 pounds of muscle, it's pretty big. So, and then, even when I would slim down, I would be cut and be ripped. So, and I'd like looking at myself. Okay, men do that. Men will do that. Men will look at themselves. They want to look good. Women do it. Women look at themselves a lot. Women take how many selfies like men? I mean, it's something that I don't know. The argument don't stand up too well, I don't think, for that. Oh, you like looking at yourself as a woman. Well, women look at themselves to see how good they look. Men do it. Women do it. I mean, it's, I don't see the thing. What I see is, though, the argument of, if you're a trans woman, I just feel like it's easier for myself. I'm just going to speak for myself. I'm not going to go out and do anything that I think is going to draw a lot of scrutiny to myself. And I know some people say, well, F everybody. Yeah, but there are some, even though I don't agree with everything society does at all, we still live in this crazy world where there's these societal conditioning. There's this societal conditioning. There's these expectations. I know with my gender dysphoria, if I'm out there in public and I do things that I know I'm not passing, if I draw scrutiny to myself knowing I'm not passing, then that's just going to cause me more dysphoria. And I can't really blame the person. We always want to, I'm not saying everybody, a lot of people want to blame people when they're misgendered or something. Well, a lot of times they're misgendered because people just register what they see usually. It's not always, now some people are mean, yeah, but I would say most people are just registering what their brain immediately registers as male or female. And a lot of people, they go out with an image in their head, I look female, I got it down, but then they really don't, and people misgender them. And for me, that would cause more dysphoria. So like on here, a lot of times I like to get dolled up, like now, and I'll put on more makeup and stuff, but I'm not really as comfortable with all this makeup. In public, though, I have started wearing foundation to work, and my nails are chipping, but black is a neutral color, but I started doing that so I could get more comfortable, and probably gonna redo my nails here in a few days, and I'm gonna do blue and black, and I'm gonna start, it's, for me, it's baby steps. So I can keep incorporating things and feeling comfortable and seeing how I'm perceived, so I don't become more dysphoric. Because my depression too, and I know we're all different, my depression can amplify so quickly, and I can go in a downward spiral. So my therapist helps me a lot with that over the years. She's given me little things. She's kind of like the nails. She said, oh, you should paint your nails black. Start with that. See how you feel. And then she talks about maybe getting my ears used to be pierced, because even when I was a bodybuilder, I would wear the male-like earrings. She's talking about, I'll get your ears re-pierced, maybe wear some earrings, and I'd probably wear little studs. I would really like to do that. And that's another step. My facial hair bothers me, and I can cover it better here, but my shadow shows, not harshly. In some ways, I'm very fortunate being 5'6". I'm small, and I have very little body hair naturally. So that's very much like a woman, the way my very little hair to shave on my body. But the facial shadow, well, the good thing about that, I guess I'd say too, it doesn't get real thick like other men's, but it's there. So what I've started doing is wearing light foundation, which I like now, covers my blemishes. I'm getting comfortable with that in public. I just ordered some color correctant and concealer, and I think I can be able to actually cover that, and we'll start doing that more, where I can cover it probably completely each day when I go out, and I'll look more feminine, which when I talk about this stuff, it excites me, because I want to look that way. I want to blend. I want to start, but I'm also aware that I'm still seen as a male when I'm out. The only time I think I've fooled a couple of people, as far as, because I really don't think I pass, but I shouldn't say fool. But I say that because I don't feel like I'm at a passing level. But I get excited sometimes because when I wear my hat, I think, and I have some foundation on and stuff, and it shades my face even more, I think. And at night, especially, there's been times I can tell a couple of guys, they either are confused, they don't know which I am, because I kind of look like kind of a bit of a flat-chested girl sometimes, or I think a couple of them thought I was a girl. I know one of them gendered me that way at a gas station. One of the clerks that was there did one night, and I was like, wow, and I haven't done a lot, so that excites me, and I feel more fortunate than some people in that way. I've got the build and the height range that I think is good, and but of course, like everybody, I look at things every day that make me dysphoric. So with the facial shadow, another thing that she gave me an idea for was Nair, and I do think it's done a little bit. You can get Nair for your face, but I did get depressed and dysphoric at first because I wanted it. I was hoping it would just work and take the shadow out. I knew it wasn't going to get rid of the hair, but it can make it where you don't have to shave as often. But what happened was I didn't see anything happening, and I have an issue sometimes with overdoing something. So luckily I was off 3 days, but it broke me out because I left it on, put on too much, thinking it was doing nothing. It was okay in a day or so, but I did realize it weakened the hair. It did actually weaken the hair to where my shaving's easier, but it does still cause a mild breakout a little bit, so I have to do it on my off days. But foundation covers up little bumps, razor bumps, things like that, which I love too. It actually is pretty effective. So this is something I'll probably use once a week. And I say that because if you can't afford laser to remove your hair, if you can't afford that, you're trying to find things. That's why I order concealer and color correctant too, because I've seen on YouTube where that can be pretty effective. And being my facial hair is not that thick, each day I can probably, I might can totally cover it. And I like that. So, gonna see how that works. Keep using the Nair until I can get laser. Because I really think I want the hair gone. And that's something these are things you can still do even if you're not doing hormones, or you can't do hormones or can't afford them or whatever. You can still, there's other things you can do. But anyway, I was just saying, for me, I would get so depressed or dysphoric if I'm misgendered. So I try to just acknowledge, hey, most of the time I'm not going to pass right now because I'm not at that point. So I'm not going to try to put myself out there in full female look knowing that I'm going to be misgendered. I want to take it little steps at a time. And as I'm being perceived certain ways and going about it, I'll add things. That's kind of how I've been going about it, just adding things. And on here, like, I feel more comfortable sometimes wearing makeup, full makeup. So I can play with what I got, and I got cheap stuff, right now, but I can play with it. I can practice. I practice, get on here. Sometimes I don't always wear it, but I can get on here and practice and that sort of thing. It gives me an outlet as well. But then I can tell you all, this is how my real life goes in public, and public's different. Being out in the public is just so much different. So anyway, the AGP thing, I just think people are a little harsh on that I do think there's the guys that their heart's in the wrong place, I should say, with saying they're trans and they're trying to just get near women in private spaces. That's wrong. But is every trans woman just AGP? No. I mean, could a lot of us have pieces of that? I guess so. But for me, it's all about just wanting to live life that way. It's just wanting to, do I feel sexual? Yeah, I mean, it's a normal part of life. I do have a little bit more man attraction than I used to have. I find that interesting. But like I said, it's like, I don't mean it's bad toward any other man. You're attracted to, right? We're attracted to. But I just notice it's more like alpha type guys, if I am attracted. And then it's like a lot of, women feel, I guess, not speaking for, I can't speak for, I mean, how can I speak for cis women? But I'm just saying, I think this is how I know my therapist kind of related to me with this. It's like, it's kind of like, look good, you're attractive, charm me, make me laugh, it's that sort of thing. If you can charm me, make me laugh, you're strong, but also I could see there's a heart, it's that kind of stuff. No abuse bull crap. I wouldn't ever go for that. So, but I'm also still very attracted to women, and much more still, I would say. So anyway, trauma, getting back to trauma, is just, all these traumas add up in your life. And for me, I just think it's what pushed my dysphoria up. And that, you're talking about, I'll be 50 here in August, end of August. So this happened where 2021, so I was, 46 or 45, going on 46, when it really just got pushed to the surface. And that's when I just started acting more feminine at home and wanted to shave my legs and wanted to give myself petties and started to do these things. And I started getting more into all of that, to where I was actually, instead of blocking it out of my mind, instead of dismissing it, I started acting on it. I just couldn't take it anymore. That's what it was. I just wanted to start acting on it. And it felt good to do that. Started feeling good to do that, and noticed that I have more of a natural inclination to feeling feminine. But I do think it comes also from a lot of traumas of being a man. A lot of things I've been through, a lot of abuses I've been through from other men, from growing up with, I would say it probably has something to do with not growing up with a solid father figure. I'm saying these things I think contribute to it all. I don't think they're a sole cause. I just think they're things that contribute. Uh, Childhood not being very stable, never developing a core personality. So I would try to model myself after what I thought men expected. Uh, and then societal expectations that I could not feel like I just could not live up to because it wasn't really me. So that's a lot of it. Now, getting into past lives, this is something not everybody, just go over a lot of people's heads. A lot of people probably don't, believe in that, but I do, and that come from when I went through this breakup in 2019, and then I started going into New Age. And while I don't believe in a religion now, and I don't believe in a biblical God or any type of deity connected to a religion, I believe that my beliefs now are pretty much that I don't have the answers to it all. I'm not going to pretend I do, but I think from my meditative experiences and paranormal experiences I've been through in the last 5.5 years, and crazy things I've went through, things I've personally experienced that I feel like you have to experience to know what I'm really talking about, which took hours and hours of meditations when I was going through this phase, and spending tons of time in nature, in the grass and with trees, and just a lot of time doing this where my psychic awareness went up. And that's when I had remembrance. I had what I feel like was emotional memory of 3 different past lives. And I think we're designed to come into each lifetime and not remember. And I think it makes sense because when we remember, it can cause chaos with us, because then we realize, oh, this is who I was. And for me, these 3 past lives were women. Now, does that mean I was never a man? No, I'm sure I was. I think we lived many, many past lives, and we're both sexes, and we may even incarnate in other civilizations and other worlds. I mean, it's possible. But the 3 I got, and the one that was stuck out most to me, was what I think was my recent one. And she was troubled. What I get from her was we're about the same build. She was just dark haired, like more black hair, pretty, but troubled. And I feel like she might have even been, in prostitution, that maybe that lifetime I was even in the adult industry, adult films, because I've had this is a whole nother thing with me too. It can be kind of dark and morbid, but I say that it makes sense to me because, well, for one, all the troubles I've had, and there has been times in my life, I've spoke on the adult industry, and I've spoke in the last video about good and bad, and I still believe that. But have I myself, you can fall prey to addiction on anything, and there have been times in my life where I have been addicted to adult stuff and had that, and fell back on it as something I could dissociate with, as many do. And I've discussed you can do it with food or alcohol or drugs, but that doesn't make it all bad, and it doesn't make everybody who works in that industry and everything bad. As I've said, I work in an adult store. But in any case, I say this because this past life, I think it's interesting to me, because I think she was involved in that sort of stuff, but she was also one. There's many in that industry that are troubled, but again, I don't think they all are. A lot of people try to label the whole thing like that. Everybody's like that. but many are. Many get into it for the wrong reasons. Many had broken childhoods, abuse issues, and they end up in it, or some cases they get trafficked into it. But other cases they decide to go into it, but they don't have a sense of themselves either, or they're manipulated, or they think that'll be the right choice, and it's not because they're broken. I feel like this past life for me, that's how I was, and I think I unalived, and I think that's why I struggle with that now. I think we can carry over pieces. I think our past lives carry pieces into us, and if you've been one sex more often than the other, that could be also why I say the gender dysphoria could develop, because whatever reason I decide, or do we even have the decision? I don't know. But in any case, I incarnate as a male this life, and I've had so many issues. And then the gender dysphoria, and I think it could have just been really buried like it should have been, because I'm supposed to live this life as a male for whatever reason. But then so many things happened, and so many traumas happened that were unexpected. Maybe we don't really know all that's going to happen when we come into a life. I don't know. But maybe there's not full control of that situation, and so many traumas happen that it pushed this memory, because I went into all these meditations, it pushed some of the memory to the surface, and it amplified my gender dysphoria. Because after I started having those past life memories, I was also having paranormal experiences where I've discussed this before. A lot of people call it Kundalini. I just say that because that's the best thing to associate it with, which is comes from Hinduism. But I have started to feel like orgasmic feelings run through my body, like an outside force was messing with me. But I felt as the feminine, like I was receiving, and it was very pleasurable. Extremely pleasurable, like I had a spirit companion that was doing this as a male, and that was also going hand in hand with the past life stuff and everything. It was like, okay, so that also, like, I started analyzing that, like, oh wow, you're like really a female spirit, it seems, or a female soul. Maybe. That's what I started to think, excuse me, because of these experiences I was having through all these meditations. It was the meditations that also brought on the orgasmic stuff, and that whatever outside force was doing things to me. And I didn't try to stop it because I enjoyed it, to be honest with you. And a lot of people have discussed this. You can look it up. Look up Kundalini. You'll probably find people. I don't know if they'll describe it exactly like me. Some I found did describe it very similar. But it comes to people through different experiences. But what's interesting is what that experience also taught me was, it taught me that over time I could hold my seed. This is something else that I've done now. Like, I've held my seed now for like over 8 months. I have not released that, though I have edged. I've edged a lot. There's been times when I get depressed, really deeply depressed. That's been an outlet for me to edge, and we're all human, and I'm no perfect angel by far. And sometimes if I've done it to soft adult content, sometimes I've looked at the harder adult content from time to time. But I used to be really, back in few years ago, or well, more than that now, 5-6 years ago, I was really addicted. About 6 years ago, I was really could be addicted into that. And but from time to time ever since then, I've fallen into little spurts where I would edge, and then I get out of it again, I fall out of it. But the darker side of me, when I was talking about my past life as this female, recent past life, I think it was, and I think she was in the adult industry. It makes sense to me sometimes why, when I fall into these edging battles, it's usually with, sometimes it, well, not usually, but sometimes some of the women are ones that sometimes I run across some that are no longer here. And it's very dark, but it's like I connect to them because I feel like my past life, I was involved as a broken person in things and around certain people, and I unalived. I don't know this for certain, it's just a feeling I get, and that's a feeling why I struggle today with it. It's, but there's certain ones in the adult industry that, and it's not just the ones in the adult industry, there's a few other women. There's a B actress by the name of Stevie Ryan that she passed away in 2017. She unalived. Came across her in the feed and wanted to watch her. She was one of the original YouTubers back around when it first came out, 2005, 2006. I wanted to watch her old videos, and I got attached to her for a while because I could relate to her. She had severe depression through her life and things like that, and some of these adult film stars the same way. I could be attracted to them, but it was like also I'd want to know more about them because of their depression, things like that. So I get tied into that. But then I got tied into Stevie Ryan, which was, she, like I said, she was an actress, and there was another woman, young woman that her name was Yocheved, young Jewish girl. She wasn't famous or anything, but somehow came across her Instagram, and it's still up to this day. And her last post that she left before she unalived, she had eating disorders or eating disorder problem off and on, and depression and things like that. So, and I find it interesting because I feel bad for the men that this has happened to as well, but I always get attached to the women. And I was telling my therapist about it, and she's like, I could tell it bothers her, and I guess it would. It's morbid. There's a darkness to that. But then I told her I think it comes from a past life, and she's open to all this stuff because she has said too, we just don't know everything about everything. And I've also been involved in paranormal investigations in the past and had things happen to me as well. So there's so many things that through my life I feel like contribute to what I'm going through today, who I am today. But she said, of course she said, let's try to stay away from the ones that have done this, that are no longer here, because of course she worries because what happens, I get in a depressed state, and then that's why I gravitate to other people. It's like a darkness meets darkness type of thing. And anyway, what I've done to try to stay away from that and get away from that is I clear my energy. And not a religious thing, it's just something I found. I feel like everything's made up of energy, everything's made up of vibration, energy, just through my own experiences. I won't get too much in the weeds on it, but I just feel like you have to make an intention to try to clear out. I believe you make soul ties with people when you focus in on them a lot. You don't have to even meet them, you just focus in on them a lot. If they're no longer here though, it's the same thing, you're still focused in on them, and I think you can focus in on their residual energy, maybe their actual spirit. If they're not, I don't know for sure, because you don't know if, again, getting too much in the weeds, I don't want to do, but you don't know if they're reincarnated somewhere, or you don't know if you're connecting to their actual spirit when you focus in on them that much, or their residual energy. But I do think you get your aura and everything just gets murky with all that stuff. So you make the intention to, hey, say, I'm going to clear all that off of me. And as far as where we come from, I just think it's I don't know what you call it. You could call it a God, I guess. I don't think it's like something that's trying to judge us or do anything to us personally or send us to some hell or heaven or anything else. I do think it's a loving force that we come from initially because we're innocent when we're born. I think that there's a high vibrational thing of that source, if you want to call it that, or God, where we come from. That's the best way I could explain of how I feel now. Don't think it's a religious thing. I don't look at it from a moral standpoint, really. And I don't have all the answers to the reincarnation. I just give you my experiences of what I've dealt with, and I'm very honest here about my darkness, about my own darkness and things, because of my own depression and my own feelings of not wanting to be here at times, how I can get tied in with other people that are no longer here sometimes, or people that are here but they're also deeply depressed, and I'm trying to focus more away from that. So that's also, so anyway, I just think all these things have played into, because of my remembrance of these three women, the emotions of especially what I think might have been my last lifetime. I feel like that's also added into my gender dysphoria now. I don't know that that was meant to happen. It just happened. And then I start questioning, why did I come into this life as a male? And did I just want to experience this life as a man? But I feel like I even carried over female traits like my height, and that's the thing I think about too. It's like you even carried over your being small and some of your other traits, it seems. And why? Because now things are very complicated, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it's hard. I think I've said it before, but it's hard, especially now at my age and everything I've been through. I've so often wanted to shut this off, and I haven't been able to, and ended up at the adult store because, I've often said, because they accept me, I don't get judged, I don't get traumatized by narcissistic bosses, I don't put up with the tons of crap I put up with in hotels and tourist attractions where everybody is just constantly backstabbing each other, and management sleeping with all the staff, and even the gay men in a couple of places I worked are judging people that were trans or whatever. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So that's why, again, I ended up where I ended up, because of what I'm going through, the dysphoria and all these things. I'm accepted in not, my manager isn't crazy like all these other managers were, and he's a gay man, but he's not one that's judges like the ones I've worked with before. And I just feel comfortable, and do I deal with some creepy individuals sometimes? Yeah, I also deal with shoplifters. You wouldn't think there were so many shoplifters in a dang adult store, but there are. There are. But I also deal with a lot of cool people and couples, and that's why I was saying in my last video, people judge this stuff, and a lot of your healthier couples, they're healthier because they do this stuff together. They go in places together, or they buy things together and explore together. People just surrounded by too much taboo sometimes. That's why I'm saying it's not all, adult industry is not all good or all bad. And food can be all bad if you just eat pie every day. I mean, you eat tons of carbs every day. Alcohol, you can totally destroy yourself, but it's totally legal. People don't put so much taboo on that as they do the adult industry. But how many people are still to this day drinking and driving and tearing their livers up? There's people who've been dying, passed away. There's people passed away in their 20s and 30s from their liver, from drugs, alcohol. I say the most because it's legal. But anyway, I just saw you on here relate more about where I think my dysphoria comes from, and just wanted to explore more with you all about, just talk about the AGP thing too, because you do have some people on here on YouTube that just come hell or high water, they're going to down every trans person, period. They're all just whatever. And I see it even coming from gay men on here, and it's just like, come on. You can't lump everybody in a box just because you're not going through it. It's just, if you're not going through it, you're not going through it. You just don't fully understand it. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. That's the thing too. I would not wish it on nobody. It sucks. It's debilitating. It's life altering. It's not like, oh, let's jump for joy, I'm glad I got gender dysphoria. I mean, it's just it's crazy. And as far as my therapist, well, let me touch on that too, because if it wasn't for, I told you all I almost unalived 2020, summer 2020, when I was in the dark hole, black magic, drinking, trying to escape everything. But I almost did too last year. Everything, if I wouldn't have sought help when I did, that's what made me do it. I couldn't hold jobs, but it was because I kept going back to the same abusive places. And I kept trying to re-enter my old manhood. I kept trying to do that. I kept trying to redevelop the fake character and kept trying to go back into those old jobs. And then it wasn't working. And then I was getting in deeper debt. And I'm still digging out of that hole, but I'm not near as bad. But I still can't afford a ton of stuff, but I'm not. Things have slowly gotten better. It's taken some time, but things are slowly have gotten better. But at that point last July, I was in a very dark place. And I didn't know what to think of my gender dysphoria. It hadn't been diagnosed. I hadn't saw a therapist. I had no guidance on it, on what I was dealing with. And then could not function as this as a masculine character like I used to. And I was getting closer to saying, I'm done. There's a tree in the park waiting on me. It's very dark, I know, but that's how I've thought many times. And it's just the truth. My therapist knows that. And that's why I relate to certain people that, like I said, celebrities or adult stars I know have had similar circumstance, or it's happened like that. Because I know how it feels. It's just I know how it feels to go through that. But anyway, I was lucky to find where I go. And then they were able to put me on a safety net where I don't have to pay for my therapy, and then I ended up with somebody that understood me and had other patients with this, which is very fortunate living in Tennessee, because Tennessee can be hostile, and the place I go to, they're not like that. But being based in, well, I don't think they're based in this state, but being they're in, where I go is in this state, they're having to deal with all this crap now, where if I had wanted hormones before, I could have got them. And right now, I mean, I could have afforded them. They probably wouldn't have costed me much going through here. But anyway, I just take things a day at a time. Things happen, I think often happen for a reason too, and move at a pace maybe they're supposed to move. And I am trying to keep my energy more clear from the darker stuff, so I believe when we're in a higher vibration, better things happen to us and better opportunities. Because I say that because not out of like some religious thing. It's just if you're caught up in dissociation with anything, it could be even something a little more harmless, like a video games or something. But if you're taking up all your time with that one thing, other doors are shut to you for your life. I guess that's what I'm saying. So energy and timeline and all that shifts when you're not dissociated like that. But anyway, guess I'm gonna go for now, guys, and I'll talk to y'all later on. Bye.